Comes audio son. You bun the swine when no want you shine. The tree of life, them no want you climb, cause them heart no kind. Comes audio son. You bun the swine when no want you shine. The tree of life, them no want you climb, cause them heart no kind. Comes audio son. You bun the swine when no want you shine. The tree of life, them no want you climb, cause them heart no kind. Comes audio son. You bun the swine when
Never Joe, never Joe. Oh, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you can even money, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. You can keep, you can even money. When you've been up for a bum, you have been there be money. Now because your money done, you come with conniving money. When you had your pocket full, you have been there be money. Now because your money done, you hustle for tell me money. Yes, money, never money, never money, money, never money, money. Now know what you conniving money. Neighbor, neighbor, joker, neighbor, neighbor, joker. Neighbor, neighbor, joker. That's all the money that me walk for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. That's all the money that me walk for. I said money, neighbor, money, neighbor, money, money, neighbor, money, money. Now I don't want you conniving money. Oh, Joseph.
Well, I invoke the WPA's position that we are engaging in civil disobedience and non-cooperation with the government. And on that grounds, I refuse to participate in the interview. The question in struggle, is not personal. Whatever sacrifice as a political activist or a political leader you have to make for your people, you have to make it.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Comes TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruptions over land and sea, where the wicked politicians they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. Is one set of people getting aisle money. Is one set of people doing the thievery. Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see. Sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings, with Jah has ordained me to sing. I sing Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people calling Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, fooling the people. You're promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. Stop fooling people. promoting evil. Stop lying to the people. You are a part of the cycle. I say, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. They got Breakford, Bork and Mark Benchcop. David Hines and Kadaki Amsterdam. Sherrod Duncan, Nigel London. Normal Brown and Gavin Matthews. Big up Paslow Port People Governor. Simona Brooms, Robin Simpson. Hampton Green and Winston Jordan. And yes, we can go right on and on. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again.
The relatives and friends of young Wyndham Bacchus, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of our in Boston, they deserve justice. The family, the relatives and friends of Peter Headley, they deserve justice.
And so when we say that Guyana is an apartheid state, we have the evidence to show.
bears now. And wine, Abigail John. It's now 7 hours 31 on the 10th day of July in the year 2022, 2023 that is. Welcome to the program. Why am I going back? Am I afraid of being 50? Hey, it would seem so. Because in 10 days, in 2 days time, I will be right there. That's the golden jubilee for me. I'm drinking beers now. And wine, Abigail John. We're going on with GT wine. Nothing happening, nothing coming across the side. What's wrong with you, girl? I hope you got some strokers. Because we would need some strokers to the dinner and dance. Yes, we could use local wines only, you know. We want some strokers on the table sitting and dance. So, Abigail, I hope you got strokers. Start preparing yourself. Yeah, Wednesday the children will come and they will have a nice time. I hope that they will enjoy the movies and trampoline and seesaw and all the fun that we have for them and so on. And thing. I'm really hoping to make it an exceptional day for them. Even as I celebrate quietly, I usually celebrate quietly. On that particular day, I just like to sit and watch people have fun. Children especially. I always try to find the time to, you know, spend my birthday doing something different for the children. Right? So I do hope that Wednesday is going to be as magnificent as I would like it to be. I'm still working the plans. I'm still working the plans. But yeah, Wednesday would be that day. In the meantime, between time, I hope that lots of you are planning to come and bring the children on Wednesday. And then, of course, on Saturday, we big people will have our throwdown. 3-course dinner and dance at Club Twilight. That's, I hope we can have a grand get-together. Let's keep Brother Albert Morgan in our prayers. Albert goes to court on that very day, the 12th of July. The PPP. A mad mess. They arrested Albert and charged him for something in relation to cybercrime against the state. And then he's out on bond. Bail, police station bail as we see. And from the day he was bailed, almost every other day the police is there trying to harass him. Yesterday they turned up at his house. They want him at the station. Right? According to him, the police constable, I think, told him he doesn't have to tell him why he is wanted at the station. He has an ongoing matter. An ongoing matter for which he's on bail. So if you want me at the station, tell me why you want me at the station, or I'm coming, no way. Good, so let's keep Albert in our prayers and hope that everything works out. You know, we live in a society where people don't have freedom of speech. We live in a society where people can't express themselves. As soon as you say something that is contrary to what the hooligans in government think, they try to harass you and put you before the courts and all of that. Guyanese have to stand up if Guyanese want democracy. Good? It's as simple as that. Let me not forget, because I just remembered that the common entrance results are out. The National Grade 6 examination results are out. Congratulations to all of you. Every single one of you who took the National Grade 6 examination. Let me tell you something if you're listening, and let me tell parents something if they're listening. Just taking the examination is an achievement. There are many children, not only in Ghana but around the world, who do not stay in school long enough to even take that examination. And so congratulations to those children who took the National Grade 6 examination. And they are going on to secondary school. They're going to another level of their education. Remember, it's not where they started. It is where they end. Where they intend to end. What is their goals? What are their goals? What is the end game they're working towards? You as parents, many of us like to live our lives, what's the word, vicariously? Through our children. We were not great achievers. And so we pray for the day when our children is going to achieve greatly and make us proud or prouder in our society, give us bragging rights among the neighbors and so on. Right? But I say, go don't make sheep, and the fruit don't far from the tree. So if you didn't achieve much, why you want to chastise a child if you believe that he did not achieve as much as you wanted him to achieve, or her? Right? Let's keep that in mind. We have to be fair to our children. They are their own individuals.
how we nurture them, how we socialize them will make a difference in their lives. But at the end of the day, let us not chastise them for not reaching the goals that we set for them. What we have to do is help them to set goals, so they know the goals that they're working toward, and they know that they have your support working toward those goals. And we're likely to see better results than when we set in our mind that, hey, this child must, help the country and so on. When we know very well that it really doesn't run in the blood. It's not necessarily a bloodline thing, though. Sometimes it comes down to dedication and support and so on. So wherever your child is placed this morning, as a result of the National Grade 6 examination, my encouragement is that you support that child. Continue to encourage and support that child. Speak positive words. Oh, you make she beat you? No. They are all individuals. Speak positive words to that child. And encourage them that they can achieve more. Some of our children are late starters. Right? By second form, you might be surprised to see how your child gallops way ahead of the others who were ahead. Right? So, hold the faith, work with your children, encourage them. That's all I want to tell you for now. I have a different structure in mind. This program is a year old or so now. Well, not a year. We are approaching another year. We're at another year's anniversary. So we're into year 3 or year 4? Year 3, I think. Yes, year 3. And so, it's always got to switch up the things sometimes. Right? So this morning, I am going to do a hybrid. I want to... Where's the phone? I want to open the lines early. But the question I want us to discuss when the lines are opened are the benefits of... Well, there's several things on my mind. Let me say, starting last Friday, a caller mentioned all the things that he believes that the new government should do for Guyanese, giving them money monthly and so on. That $1 million thing. And I didn't mention to you that the Working People's Alliance has always been favorable to giving Guyanese approximately $1 million monthly from their oil income. Even if it starts gradually at a small amount and gets up to $1 million monthly. And definitely the universal basic income. So I want us to talk about those things. How do you feel about the universal basic income being introduced to Ghana? And how do you feel about the WPS proposal to give every household $1 million from the oil income? Those are two of the things we will talk about. The other thing I want us to talk about is BRICS, B-R-I-C-S, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China, and now South Africa. Let us talk about BRICS versus the G7. I know there are lots of you following that kind of discussion out there. So let's talk about BRICS versus the G7. What are the upsides of BRICS? And what are the downsides? And where should Ghana be? Should Ghana join BRICS or should Ghana stick with the G7? Those are some of the things I want us to talk about this morning. So the lines are open. 622-5933 is the number to call. If you call it, I might find it. I don't know. I don't know exactly where it is right now. Right? So call 622-5933 and let's talk about that.
Well, I invoke the WPA's position that we are engaging in civil disobedience and non-cooperation with the government. And on that grounds, I refuse to participate in the interview. The question in struggle, is not personal. Whatever sacrifice as a political activist or a political leader you have to make for your people, you have to make it.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. We rise up early morning watching Comes TV, where wisdom and knowledge, yes, it is the key. Exposing corruptions over land and sea, where the wicked politicians they try to trick me. Guyana is a land for everybody. With 6 races should live in harmony. There's one set of people getting oil money. There's one set of people doing the tea for real. Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again, Guyanese morning time. The people calling Guyanese morning time. Rhythm, rhythm, Guyanese morning time. Intelligence and knowledge run the front line. We go again. This is a program that you all can see. Sharing your views and your integrity. Like it, comment and share it all around. Pass it to your neighbor, safe and sound. A sad situation going on in this town. The voice of the people is getting trampled down. Out of the mouths of babes and sons.
What is it? Are you people afraid of this discussion, or none of you know what I'm really talking about? Right? So let's talk. BRICS, like I said, is that economic union, I want to call it. It's an economic union between Brazil, or among Brazil, Russia, India, China, BRIC, and recent South Africa, BRICS, BRICS. Now, of course, you know the economic union. Prior to BRICS, it was the G7 or the G8 nations, the most powerful economic nations in the world. Of recent, I learned that currently BRICS has overtaken the G7, G8 in terms of that economic strength. Right? BRICS, I think, currently control in excess of 30% of the world economy, whereas the G7, G8, they control just about 30% or less. So one would believe, looking at things, is that BRICS is on the uprise. It's becoming more dominant as against the G7, and so they are losing what one would call is the pole position of being the economic giants who control what the world does and how the world does it. But in the midst of that is the United States. Right? The United States, which many people say when the US sneezes, a whole lot of other countries, including Ghana, will catch a cold, because the US has its hand in basically everybody's economy, everybody's politics, everybody's existence. Is the US supportive of BRICS? Is it a part of BRICS? No, it's not a part of BRICS. BRICS is a competitor to the regime that the US is involved in. How will the policies of BRICS, trade policies of BRICS, affect those of the US and the G7? And so when we see Biden coming down here the other day, did I say Biden? Blinken? Right? When Blinken came down here the other day, a lot of people said Blinken is not here to talk about Ghana politics. He's here to talk about the US interests. And what are the US interests? To prevent Ghana, or to minimize the possibility of Ghana allowing countries like Russia and China, especially, a foothold that is greater than the US's in Ghana. I think I would have mentioned to you previously the Safe City project, which was previously supposed to be funded by the US, if I remember clearly. And that funding was withdrawn because Ghana insisted on going with Chinese technology, Huawei. But if you remember the fallout between Ghana moving to open or allow Taiwan, if I remember clearly, to open an embassy here. as against the wishes of the US, against the wishes of China. I understand it was the US's encouragement, but it was part of an agreement with the US and Ghana, that they recognized Taiwan and allowed them to open the embassy. That letter followed, or near followed. We don't know how severe it has been with the Chinese government. We know that the Chinese, through their what we call the thing, by the Bridges and Roads project, I think, is willing to and have been pouring a lot of money into countries like Ghana to have a foothold, a major foothold. And the US has been resistant to that. And so when you see an economic bloc as in BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and Ghana is leaning towards them, obviously the US is going to become concerned and is going to, in my mind, flex its muscle, whether economic or political, whichever muscle. It is argued that, well, it's a known fact by now, as a matter of fact, in my mind, that the US, through Donald Trump presidency and Pompeo as Secretary of State, was integral in the installation of the PPP, the regime change which took place in 2020. We don't know what the undertakings were, what the promises were, what was placed on the table. But certainly the PPP has a debt or several debts to repay to the US for their day in government. And so since the PPP, it would appear on the what's the word I'm looking for? On the surface, it would appear on the surface that the PPP is not playing fair or keeping with these agreements. Because as I'm talking about BRICS and G7, you recognize recently by Jack Gill saying that, listen, Ghana is not going to, or my government, the PPP, is not going to allow Ghana to join OPEC. Because OPEC is likely to exert its control on oil prices and so on, and we want to have the freedom to maximize our profits on our oil. So to trade that oil outside of OPEC countries, who will they trade with? Likely the BRICS bloc, right? And so the US, the US and oil energy, right, or fossil energy, they use a whole lot of that. Good, it's critical to their survival and economic survival and manufacturing and all these kind of things. So from that standpoint, is the US likely to sit idly by and allow Jack Dio and Irfan and the rest of the PPP to do as they like and join BRICS? Allow them to do as they like and be free agents when it comes to the sale and distribution of crude oil from the Exxon blocks? Or are they likely to step in and say to the PPP, you need to toe the line, this is where we would like to see you, otherwise you might be victims of another regime change? So the other question I want to ask you is it possible that the US is working on removing the PPP? Will the PPP allow that? Will the PPP accept that? Or will the PPP will change course to suit the demands of the US? And while we're considering that, is that why Jack Gill said he wants to work with the opposition? Is that why the PPP is troubled right now? Because Blinken came and he met with the PPP government representative, Ali. And then clandestinely, because they weren't aware of it, he met with leader of the opposition, Norton. Is that worrying to the PPP because of this clandestine meeting with Norton? A meeting they didn't have any prior knowledge of. And a meeting that took place, and they are still, as we like to say in Ghana, like fish out of water, trying to get information as to what was discussed at this meeting. What did these two gentlemen speak about? at these meetings? Why weren't we in loop? Why weren't we informed of this meeting? Why didn't we have the intelligence on this meeting? Those are some of the things I want us to talk about. The lines are open. 6225933 is the number to call. Talk to me. It's 8 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour. It's not far from the time you would normally call, so I'm waiting for your calls and voice notes. Let's talk. Should the PPP be worried? Is the PPP worried? Y'all not talking to me. Hello? Call Live, good morning. Call Live, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir. First of all, I want to congratulate you on your. First of all, I want to congratulate you.
Caller, you have to talk to me on the phone and don't listen to what is happening in the background.
Yeah. One minute, please. Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
Yes,
Hello?
I'm listening.
Yeah, first of all, I want to congratulate you on your anniversary. Because when you first started the program, I'm one of the person who believe that this program will get better and better by the day, by the hour, and by the years. Secondly, Barra Jagdio and Infanali had made some commitment to the former Secretary of State of America. And with Blinken visit, it enforced those arrangements. He is committed to opening the embassy of Taiwan in Guyana. And that is American objective. It's no backtracking because the policy has not changed. And if he doesn't do it, bye-bye Infanali and Barjagyo and the PPP once and for all. Have a great day.
Thank you. I'm having what I call a wicked thought in relation to this discussion. But let the calls come, let the calls and voice notes come. And let's talk, man. Let's talk. You know, one of the things I ask is the PPP likely to change course to be on the quote-unquote good books of the U.S. government, the current U.S. government, so that they can remain in office? Is it worth creating bad relations with China, Russia, Brazil, India? Remember India's mother India to the majority of folks in the PPP government, do you believe that they would rather solid a relationship with India to be in the good books of the US? India in itself is a world power, right? And remember, not so long ago, Ali went to India and I think they signed what they call some military defense arrangements. Remember that, right? That was in the news. So we see that the PPP, no doubt, is has over the years been reaching out and strengthening its relationships with Mother India for them. Are they likely to give up on those relationships to appease the situation with the US? Knowing that to hold on to BRICS and so on is likely to anger the US and perhaps suffer from the same regime change that they benefited from. Call live, good morning.
Good morning, Kadaki, and listeners, viewers, good morning. Good morning to you guys. For the past 10 years or so, the world was being quiet. There wasn't no war really around the place. But this Brexit, this BRICS organization, I think Tom will come in the next 10 years. Because if I could remember, I heard a clip where Blinken, I think when he was in Trinidad, he was talking about regime change in Cuba and saying that if the people in Cuba this and they don't know about no people in Cuba is what America gonna send in the CIA to infiltrate to get regime change. So the people that not gonna wanna comply with America to continue using the US currency, and those who gonna try to move over to BRICS, you gotta watch yourself. Regime change. America gonna pressure and put the regime change in those countries. So for the next 10 years, we gotta watch and see. It's not gonna be looking. It won't be nice. It won't be nice. This BRICS thing, it gonna be a little problem in the next 10 years. That's how I see it. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for calling. Why do you believe all things are settled by, I'm going to use the word here loosely, war? Do you believe the USA is willing to go to war, whether economic or physical warfare, in order to get the Guyanese government, the PPP-led Guyanese government, to toe the line? I'm just asking. How do you see that? Somebody said for the want of power, the PPP is not likely to anger the US. But aren't the Chinese as powerful as the US? Is the Indian government not capable enough of propping up the PPP government should they come under pressure? Does Ghana really need the US? Or I should say, does the PPP really need the US to stay in power? And the other question is, if the US is saying that they can't work with the PPP and therefore they rather work with Aubrey Norton, are they hoping to achieve a change in government through regime change again? And if that is the case, what do you think Aubrey Norton will be expected to give to the US?
Good morning, Kadaki listeners. Good topic this morning. I think the US has come to realize that PPP playing a Dutch axe role when it comes to global politics. That's why you see they come down. They talk about Haiti is a distraction. It is not that they really come about. Don't forget the saying, you're either with me or you're against me.
And Dutch axe, according to some people, cut from all sides, right? So the PPP is cutting from all sides. It's cutting from the BRICS side and the G7 side. It's cutting from communism and democracy or socialism, whatever. I don't know if those terms are still applicable to governments and so on. But the thing is, are you comfortable? Let me ask you this question. Are you comfortable knowing that your government is there only because it is willing to play to the theater of the US? Are you comfortable knowing that your government is there only because it is willing to do the biddings of the US when it comes to world affairs? And with that in mind, is your government really there to serve you or to serve the interests of the US? What are your thoughts on that? Let's talk. The lines remain home. 6225933 is the number to call. Like I said, I'll take this morning is a different approach. Good? I can tell you, the PPP is really, really worried about this meeting with Aubrey Norton and Blinken. Because, like we all know, they weren't aware of it. And right now, they're heaping coals, if I can say that, on the head. Excuse me, on the head of the person who was expected to tell them about it. Right? So, they're heaping coals on the head of the person who was supposed to gather the intelligence so that the PPP would have had prior knowledge on the meeting, and so that the PPP will get information as to what was discussed at the meeting. And so, with that information now available to us, I'm sure many of you can appreciate the importance of the meeting and the importance of Aubrey Norton choosing to go to the meeting alone. Or the importance of the US asking that Aubrey Norton alone goes to the meeting. Because then there are only 2 or 3 persons in the room. And so a breach of the discussion would have to naturally come from Aubrey Norton or Blinken. Or if there was a third person in the embassy, a third person in the person of the ambassador was present in that room. Right?
Alright, Kadaki, to follow up on your question, why do we think America only use war to settle the business? Brother, it's history. Look back at history. That's the only way America go about resolving the problems. Most times, that's how they go about, because they got a stockpile of ammunition and artilleries.
Call over the line, please. Let's continue. Complete this voice note.
That gonna soon be out of date, and they're gonna want the latest technology. You see now artificial intelligence coming and all these kind of things going on. They got to. America is one of the latest. They just want to have the latest weapon, the high-tech weapons and this kind of stuff. So when they got stockpiled, they got to use them out, and they're not gonna just throw them away or recycle them just like that. They're gonna use them for regime change. Those countries that not gonna listen and comply with what America want, regime change coming. Trust me. Let's wait and see. The next 10 years at least. Let's wait and see.
And so, are you suggesting that you will see changes in places like Brazil and Russia and India and China and South Africa? Are they going to remove the heads of government like it is alleged they removed people like Gaddafi because they wanted similar arrangements to these? Caller Live, good morning.
Good morning to one and all. I would like to comment about 2 things that we talked about this morning. First is this BRICS situation here. We have to be careful because, of course, there's a world order here, right? We have to be careful because we have to remember that we don't have much difference in regards to defending ourselves from rogue nations, right? And we've seen countries with a lot of wealth, especially oil wealth, being taken advantage of by other countries, neighboring countries. Let's say, for instance, the Kuwait with the Iraq situation back then. So we need to watch who we align ourselves with, because if we're gonna join this new order that they try to create, meaning moving away from the U.S. domination, right? I mean, we got to be careful with it, because many countries do that rightfully so, because America really don't treat people fairly, because they only look after their own interests, and then the other countries' interests. We all understand that, but they have been dominated for the longest while, and financially and militarily, they're the top. So let's say, for instance, someone wants to walk in on us and take away some of our wealth, some other country I'm talking about, right? Who's going to help us? Who's going to defend us, right? These BRICS countries, I'm not sure about that. So they're not tested. We've seen.
Paula, in the same light of this discourse, let me ask you this. Why not India? Why not Brazil? Brazil has one of the largest militaries in the world. India is a military. I don't necessarily want to say superpower, but
yes, I'm going to say why not. Because why not? Because these countries they're not proven to have defended other countries. Right, the sovereignty of other countries, they haven't done that. We see, look at India and Pakistan; they're all nuclear powerhouses, and they've been pointing their weapons at each other for the longest while. And the only country that have stopped them from doing so, from touching the red button, is the U.S. I'm not preaching it for the U.S. right, but I'm just saying here that the situation here is that at least the U.S. is in control right now, and we haven't seen anarchy in many countries as yet. Right, so why should we try to fix something that is not broken? So I don't trust this country. Brazil, look what has been happening in Venezuela and the Latin American countries. As Brazil tried to help those countries, no, they haven't. So these countries these Brexit countries, they're not proven to be defending their neighbors and their partners. South Africa is the same thing. Look what's going on in other parts of Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. Have we seen South Africa sending troops to help these people out? No. So the point is, you got to watch who you align yourself with. You can't just align yourself with people, a whole bunch of people who say, okay, we're going to start a new world order here, and let's talk about defense, and they're not doing anything for defense. Right? So that is my cry in regards to that. We have to watch who we align ourselves with, and because we don't have a strong military, as a matter of fact, we have zero military defense. We just can't jump at anybody, because if something happens, God forbid something happens, there's no one to help us. So that's my first thing I want to talk about. The other thing I want to talk about is patriotism. I passed at recently, as yesterday, there was a Guyana Day in New Jersey, and I passed out there, and where it was held is like about 35 minutes away from New York, from Queens, New York. So and the only people I've seen, Guyana is known to be a country of diverse races, 6 different races. And for some reason, when you go out there, the only black people you see, you think you might be in Africa or you might be in the Caribbean, something like that. What is wrong with all the other Indian people that lives in Queens, New York, and even Portuguese people, right? That call themselves Guyanese whenever it's something for them to get. There's a situation that either there's land or it's business or something. So some other opportunity for them to get something. They don't ever show up. But it's Guyana Day, the only people that show up is black people. How come that's what I'm talking about? So what I'm saying is that everybody's supposed to show up as Guyanese. Everybody should be proud to be Guyanese. It's a Guyana Day. But there were no other race, even though Guyana is a country of 6 races, but African people. That's my time. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. And so the line remains open. 6225933 is the number to call. Why are we afraid of new? Right? The common thread running through this discussion is that perhaps BRICS is a new economic bloc, a new regime. Why do we have to be afraid of new? Look at these people who form BRICS who are involved, who are in that union. They are all economic powerhouses and military powerhouses. So why not join them, guys? Call it live. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Now, remember, I think it was last year, when the woman said that she was doing a sanitary napkin drive to be issuing sanitary napkins to little girls. And persons, I think, I can't remember quite clearly, and I don't want us to get in problem, but I think 2 male figureheads who are supposed to be ministers in the fraudulent regime were donating sanitary napkins, something that is very private, to little girls, right? Now, I spoke about it because I felt that there is something to be between the children and the parents. And in most cases, the particular sanitary napkin issue would be between a mother and a daughter. Anyway, people saw that as an assistance to girls and things and so. You see now how far that has gone to, where this man, he is wrong, took it upon himself, and I can't give you pads, and I can't give you any other thing. Now coming back to the meeting with the leader Norton and this man Blinken. This man at least tried to show that they acknowledge the opposition. And after seeing what is going on with the Africans in Guyana, knew that he had to make contact with the leader of the opposition, who is representing mainly the Africans in Guyana. And with that move that the leader made in going to meet with them and didn't let anybody know, to me, he is right. Now they are claiming that the meeting didn't last long. You see, when you got education, you don't have to take hours to say, please do this to me. You come plumb, you deliver. So Norton had to spend 3 hours out of the 4 hours allotted to Guyana to get his points over to Blinken. Now there is talk that they didn't have the main call talking the news, the man, and I give them credit not to have him on that press conference, because every time he goes on a press conference and Leader Norton is there, he tries to belittle Norton in all way possible. Why he ain't talking to this body and he goes through the red tape to degrade and demean Norton in all way possible. But what he did not know, that the outer world was paying, putting in a listening ear and minding our business through the satellites without even them they knowing. So when it came time for such an important meeting, the outer world knew of his behavior and his disrespectful attitude. Decide, you know what? We don't want this person. We don't want the person. We don't want the other person. Well, we know Travis want to get caught because Travis does destroy them. So when these people continue to use the agenda to
destroy prominent people. They must remember that with all we may say, America in business with Guyana, America got all the Guyana files, and America and the outer world will know how to tread on things that we may think insignificant, but to them it is of great significance. Now the last thing with the girl and this problem, plenty people are claiming that the matter is finished, buried and everything. That isn't so. Lastly, can you remember when the two shows came and they had some kind of conference, and the way how the two shows were being treated, locked away, they're going to make contact? This phone story and this incident that had started with a fire and ended up where it is now was something that was ongoing. And this thing had to be in the public domain. That when the two shows came down for that conference, probably that was something they would have let out to let people know what is going on in the hinterland. So hence they were denied complete contact with anybody other than the install regime. We now see why they were trying to not have these people meet with anybody other than them. All those points are points that should be examined clearly to see how far down the trail was this type of abuse meted out to the indigenous people, and they were completely suppressed with trying to let the world know of their suffrage under the install regime. Hence, when they first got to the incident of the fire, you heard nothing about the phone. And as soon as they got up there, they started to spread the narrative of the phone. Because this same thing that has come to light has originated from a phone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your call, Rondo. Rondo, you need to come see me, girl. I told you that already. Voice note.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning, viewers. When Pompeo went to Guyana, he did not meet with the opposition, and that was very bad. But you see the way America works, when they have the plan in place, they go about and do what they have to do. So I am glad that Mr. Blinken met with Mr. Norton, and the government of Guyana did not know anything. And from what I'm hearing from Gardley Mosley, Mr. Norton laid out everything. So if America didn't know what's going on in Guyana, they hear it from the horse's mouth and they hear it from Mr. Norton. And I believe there would be changes. So the installed government of Guyana have to make some changes. If not, they will see the back of the Guyanese people. They would have to move from government because what they're doing is not nice. So once again, I am glad Mr. Blinken meet with Mr. Norton, and Mr. Norton also give him a dossier, and so they will know everything that is going on. It is out there now. There is no more hiding.
Good morning.
There's no more hiding.
Sometimes I behave rudely, not because I'm a rude person, but because I know people understand what they're supposed to do. Call it your life. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, call it your life.
Yes, good morning to you and all my black brothers and sisters. Everybody talking. Hello? Can you hear me?
Caller, you need to stop listening to the program and listen to the phone conversation.
Okay, good morning to you and all my black brothers and sisters. Let us start focus on this man that come to Guyana and focus and start preparing for the next election. To the end of the day, it is politics with the American concern. And the opposition leader in control of the oil. In America, it is always said, money talk and BS war. We're not focusing on the next election. I ain't hear nobody talking nothing about this next election, what they're going to do, and how they plan to overthrow this government by moving them out of office. This man came here to take care of the American interests. That's all he came for. And Mr. Abinat is supposed to let the citizens them know, especially black people, what the meeting all about. Because when Biden and all them go anywhere, when they come back, they just let them citizens know what the meeting about, what was taught, what was promised, what was sent for. That is what I would hold the Guyana government of. They must tell us what happened behind closed doors. Move on. Up to now, I must bring up this story here. Up to now, the black family on East Coast, they start to get raped. And nobody represent that girl up to now. But we find the time to protest every day down Georgetown. But we cannot find time now for one protest for that family. Forget a taxi man out of the street with charge and go to jail for rape that little girl. She was what, 16, 17 too? What's wrong with we people? Why we all always taking care of other people and leave our people business too? But I'm saying one thing in history. We must not get involved in other people's business and don't let people get involved in our business. That is our problem with our black leaders today. We always focus on others and don't focus on us. That makes we got a punishment. And this nonsense must stop in Guyana. And I'm always saying one brooms that I do hope she will go and find or call you and ask you the information for that black sister will kill herself, will get raped, for go and read the family and get more of the details and fight for that taxi man go to jail and be charged. She killed herself because there was no justice for her at the police. She walked and go there with pain and lace come out. She did not write a letter nowhere. It is time for black people to try to own cap in Guyana and stop this nonsense, running here. And the gentleman said, Guyana is 6 ways. Why only one way must always fight for anything and fight for them? It is a slap what the girl did and what the parents did. I said, I can't no figure. Maybe $50 million payout. Because there's no way, if she goes so far, she should know how black people out in the street fighting for her. And there's no way she should have been. Because she bent and she put a slap in back. And I very annoyed of it. She should never been. And the parents. But I'm waiting to see if Simone Booms going to take the same crowd and go up on the East Coast and fight for that girl. Let the family get, because the family vote for Simone Booms become minister. And it's time for you to do something back. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your call. Call before you leave. Do you believe that the U.S. interest can be Guyanese interest also?
No. Speaking the truth, no. No.
Why not?
Sierra said one thing. Ever Sierra said, when she went to Texas and said, we did it. Check back your video.
But caller, Sarah Lynch's ambassador that was in place under a different regime. As far as I know, and we are all aware that the current American government has made moves to find a replacement ambassador. It was this woman who was at Haiti. I don't know if she has been confirmed. Some people say she has been confirmed, but she has not yet taken hold of the office. So let's say Sarah out of the picture. Do you believe that the U.S. interest could be Guyana's interest?
Speaking the truth, you see, I follow America. The first time I came to America, one day I go to the library and read all day the history of America and government. Don't underrate American government, you know. Don't underrate American government. I have to see something first. Because why they put David Granger out? Because David Granger did one thing, and I respect him for that part. When the same government, the head government, asked him to let their army men come there to destroy Venezuela, David Granger said, no, I can't do that. I cannot allow you to come and destroy my neighbor to the end of the day. That's why David Granger was out of office. That is why they put him out of office. Flash Garden said that. That is the reason why. But if he said yes, he will still be in office. We don't want to play the dirty games. We got to make a foundation so our children and grandchildren must live happy and no enemy come and destroy them. When America go in any country, it's for them purpose. Look at Saddam Hussein country, my friend. Look at Africa country. I could name it. It is still wow. My friend said something. My Haiti friend became a law politics too. He said the biggest problem for Haiti is the American government causing that and the French government. He said the American always talk about democracy only towards the little country, Caribbean country. But the big country, they said, why the American government tell French government to pay back Haiti all that money, that $1 billion, that Haiti have to pay for them independence? You think about that. Why the America tell France, hey, let the people have a good life now, it's time. He said the American government want to put people there, they could control, and Haiti don't want that. I listen to news too now at the UN said one thing, said sending ammunition and gun to Haiti would not solve the let the Haiti people them solve them problem. He telling American stop doing that then. Let the people them put who they want to put.
Thank you, Father.
Who America sending now again? Somebody who was there can even control that. You believe you come and control that deal? Come on, Mr. Amsterdam. Think again. I got to see something before I say something.
Thank you, Carter.
Thank you very much for it.
Calling you live, good morning. Calling you live, good morning.
Morning. I wasn't able to listen last week, so listen to your replay this morning. You were asking about Haiti problem, right? And CARICOM asked to be involved in fixing Haiti problem. If America wants, America could fix Haiti problem tomorrow morning. That's my view. They could fix Haiti's problem tomorrow morning. They know what they've created, and they could fix our problem. You're taking taxpayers' money and sending it up billions of dollars. Get right in your turn. And I need to say that he's going to be a part of the solution for Haiti. He got things to fix at home. They're waiting us there with Haiti problem. If he wanted to fix Haiti problem, he could have started bringing, Haitians to Guyana, loosen up that visa crap that he started there. Do like what they're doing with the Venezuelans, taking them in to Guyana willy-nilly. So, that's my take. Haiti's problem could be fixed tomorrow by America.
Call you there still?
Yes, I'm here.
Everybody's saying that America only has interest in America's interest, especially when they deal with Guyanese.
Exactly.
The question is, can American interest be Guyanese interest?
Can American interest be Guyanese interest? I think so,
You care to expound?
We need to look and see how these people navigate, right? And then we're going to understand why these people are so interested in our thing, right? So we should start being interested in their interests, because one thing I know, their foreign policy remains static. It ain't dynamic. It don't change. And unless we understand their thing, then is when we're going to know how to navigate. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, caller.
All right.
Y'all tell Ram John. I'm surprised the name is not Ram Goat, but it's Ram John, Mohammed Ram John. We're having an intelligent discussion here. We're having a discussion with people who are not intellectually lazy. Right? This is not a discussion for intellectually lazy people. People are just accustomed to sitting behind a keyboard and typing nonsense. Right? Or listening to crap from those at Freedom House who are teaching them or telling them crap. So come again, Ram John. Come, let's have an intelligent discussion. We're talking international policy or foreign policy and how it impacts Ghana. Caller live, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kodaki. The question is, if America interest could be Guyana interest. At this moment, is only two portions could be Guyana interest, is either America or China. And the Chinese is no choice. You know who they are, the slick and the sly. The sly and the slick. So they cannot be trusted. You know what America capable of. So you only choice you have to put America, but the only thing you have to stand up to them. You have to let them know what it is doing and what is your rights. You see, they're going to give you at least who we got. The aisle we got, we could get more, and they would willing for giving more, but we have to stand with it. If we lay down, they're not going to give it to me. You see, situation now, remember, the PPP was installed, and the people remember how they get there. They have to toe the line. If they disrespect the system, they can always come after them. And right now, what the PPP doing is not how the advertising Guyana is not what the Americans want. They don't want to hear no minister raping nobody. They don't want to hear no people crying and saying the government and give it. They don't need that. You see? So this is why they went and put a stop into the PPP concerning that was one part, and there too much investment and too much mingling the Chinese have in Guyana, and America don't need. Coming to the G7 and BRICS. The G7 now have a thing called Charing Das stepping out to the G7 and say, well, you know what, I got to step over to the BRICS and see what's going on over there. Right? The BRICS is not powerful as the G7. When it comes to America and Israel, them is one of the most two powerful military-wise, intellectual and intelligent artillery that they have. BRICS don't have nothing with them. America is one of the most powerfulest country in the world. Remember, China was nothing the ideas. America built China. Everything that China owns today is what America gave to them. They didn't even work for it. America gave it to them. You see, all the technology and all those things what America do give it to them. They don't the black people and they give it to the Chinese. And the same Chinese now is who coming back and on them. And I know when they give it to the black people never come back and on them. That's one point. So anytime at all, the G7 and BRICS is not going away. And America only have two choices. Is it either America they have to choose, they can't choose the Chinese. Because the Chinese is not to be chosen. The Chinese don't give nobody nothing for free. Anything that the Chinese give to you, trust me, is a trap behind it. And the whole of the Caribbean is really army Chinese guy right now in the hand trap. Next you know, the Chinese going to hold the whole of the Caribbean. That's all I have to say after them, my brother.
Thank you, caller. The projection is, like I said, based on my information, BRICS, the BRICS bloc, if I can call them that, currently controls more than 31% of economic trade. It is projected that by 2030 they're going to be in control of more than 50%. So when you're saying that the BRICS is going nowhere, are we being correct? Is BRICS going nowhere? Or we're likely to find ourselves back in a period of where we call it war or Cold War, like in the 70s and 80s between the US and Russia. Socialism versus communism versus free market versus whatever else. Call it live, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kodaki. Good morning to you and your viewers. I like the topic this morning that we're having. Right? The question that you ask, what is the position of the PPP? And which side they're going to lead on? I guess what is going to happen, the PPP will drag their feet waiting on the results of the coming elections in the United States. If Donald Trump don't win, they definitely have to change their course. Pompidou has no more power because he was nearly charged for fraud. That was the Secretary of State in Trump's government. So they can't deal with Pompidou any longer. They have to now deal with Lincoln. And Lincoln is going to set the stage that you either with us or you're against us. And if they choose to be with the bloc, with Brazil, and which includes India, which I know they'll be tempted because India's in that bloc, then we're going to have trouble with Exxon. As simple as that. So I don't think they have very much choices of where they will have to be. But they're going to drag their feet now, carrying on discussions with the opposition and saying that trying to change things, awaiting the results of the coming elections in the United States.
Color.
That is my opinion. Yes.
Well, you've introduced another important angle from which we are having these discourses, and that is whether or not the Republican or Democrats will win the next U.S. election.
I don't see the Republicans winning the next election. I'll tell you why. My opinion. The decisions that have come down from the justice, the court, have interfered with a lot of people, which the Republicans themselves have given the opportunity of winning the next election, such as standing up against abortion, and there's another one recently came out with the, I can't remember exactly, but cutting people off from getting those student loans and whatnot. Now remember, Trump is very popular as the front runner representing the Republican Party in this coming election. And Biden wants him to run against, because Biden don't want to run against a younger person in the Republican Party. So Biden is going to let this flow go, putting pressure on him, let his people support him, and let him be the front runner for the Republican. If he is not, then there's some problems with who would win it. But as long as Trump stays the front runner, Biden is going to win the election.
And is that a good or bad thing for Guyanese?
That's a good thing for Guyanese, because it means that Yagdio has to sit down and talk again.
So the question I'm asking again is, can the U.S. interest be Guyanese interest?
We don't have a very wide scope of choice since we have joined the Al-Baq. Remember that? It's not in the days of Burnham when we didn't have these American interests and we could say, no, we going social and we join in with these people. No, we are out in the limelight there. Because until clean air and whatnot get going, oil is still going to be number one. And this fight against Russia with Ukraine, which America is backing, has cut off a lot of oil from Russia going into America. So America is looking for where she can get oil from. So you can call us now an American state to be. Just now you're going to see you can travel without a visa to America. Watch and see. Hold on. It's coming around the corner, brother.
Thank you, caller.
Okay. Thank you.
Comes out your son. You burn the swine when no want you shine. The tree of life, them no want you climb, cause them heart no kind. Comes I say them heart no kind. Buxton Massive, Kidaki, read that.
Well, I invoke the WPA's position that we are engaging in civil disobedience and non-cooperation with the government. And on that grounds, I refuse to participate in the interview. The question in struggle, is not personal. Whatever sacrifice as a political activist or a political leader you have to make for your people, you have to make it.
Guyana and Guyanese, at home and abroad. Tune in to Guyanese Morning Time, hosted by Kadaki Amsterdam, where the sun always shines. Guyanese Morning Time, the people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese Morning Time. Intelligence and knowledge from the front line. We come again, Guyanese Morning Time. The people call it Guyanese Morning Time. Rhythm, Guyanese.
Yes, it's 7 hours 29 and it's another day for Guyanese Morning Time. Welcome to the program. I'm your host, Kidaki Amsterdam, the Buxtonian. Welcome. How have you been? How was your yesterday? How was your last night? How did you wake up this morning? I know you woke up alive. Yes, you woke up alive. But is that fighting spirit in your life? Is the fighting spirit alive? Or you just woke up alive? Right? Some of us, many of us wake up and we arise to face a new day, but we don't arise to face a new day with a new attitude. An attitude that said that, the things that discouraged me yesterday will not discourage me today. The challenges I faced yesterday may very well be there, but I will approach them from a different angle. How many of you have determined that? Right? You see, determination is the key. I like to tell you brick by brick by brick. You have to be determined. You have to be consistent. You can't do today and then come back and don't do tomorrow and wait another year or 2 years and then do again. Because you will find that what you will have to be doing is constantly redoing what you had done before. Because you would have lost ground. And so I'm saying that to say to you that you have to remain vigilant. You have to remain true to the cause. What is the cause right now? Seeing the back of the PPP and seeing good governance in Guyana. Where do you believe good governance resides? That's a good question. Does it reside in the opposition? The current PNCA, PNU opposition, AFC? Or do you think that there is space, a lot of space for a new kid on the block to take over that role as opposition and really lead to see the back of the PPP? Those are some questions I want to ask you. Like I said yesterday, when you get older, you readjust things, you turn things around. Even the housewives, as the year goes by and as the months go by in the year and it comes closer to year end, they start to rearrange their homes. Every 3 months, people rearrange their home. Every 1 month, people rearrange their home. And so as we're getting older, as a broadcast media, Camps TV, we're going to keep mixing it up for you. Good? I presume at this time, 49 years ago, 50 years ago, my mother was having turning pains. I think she might have passed turning pains by now. Maybe she was in labor. Because I want to believe I give her a lot of problems. Well, not necessarily problems, but challenges to come out. Right? So you want to play big woman? I'm going to teach you a lesson here today. Feel baby pain. Right? I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow is a blessed day for me. Like every day. I feel blessed every day. Just awaking and smelling the air. Robbing somebody of some oxygen. I feel blessed to be alive. And so, I'm looking forward to tomorrow when I can say, yay, I finally made it to that landmark 50. Celebrate with me, drink a beer, and call my name. If I drink a stout, call my name. Get some strokers, call my name. You know who you can get strokers from? Abigail John. The little girl that is always in big people business. Right? But we're not talking about her this morning. We're talking about me. I'm the celebrant. Remember to send out those children tomorrow. I really am looking forward to seeing them. I worked past my usual hour last night setting up the trampoline and so on so that they can come and bounce and have some fun. Remember, it's an ice cream banquet, movie with them, and outdoor fun. Right, so 1 o'clock we intend to start, and see if you can get them here by 12:30, so we can start to organize ourselves and so on. It's going to be fun. I hope a lot of them will have new experiences, new childlike experiences. Good. And some of you also didn't have play days. You can come and have some fun today. Trampoline is sturdy enough. I would like to see some of you bunks. Oh Lord. Yes, anyways, we are with the program this morning. We are with the program. I got a lot of call while the broadcast was happening, the rebroadcast, and it gave me the impression that there are lots of people who would like to comment on yesterday's topic. So I'm going to give you another 10 minutes or so. Let's say 15. You can start making your calls to comment on yesterday's topic. And so by 8 o'clock, we are going to go into today's discussion proper. Right? Remember that Nigel Dharamlal is still accused of rape. Right? There's still an allegation out there that Nigel Dharamlal raped a now 16-year-old Amerindian girl who he was grooming, allegedly, while she was yet 15. They have said that the girl expressed a desire not to proceed with the charges or proceed with the matter. But when you look at the facts surrounding the matter, you and I know that the state doesn't necessarily need the young lady to proceed with charges against Nigel Dharamlal. If not for rape, for grooming, attempts to pervert the course of justice or perversion of the course of justice, because we understand that has not been denied up until now, that $10 million were paid to the family. An important aspect of this whole fiasco that I think a lot of persons might not have paid attention to is the fact that the young lady not so long ago, through the interviews conducted by Child Inc. and all the other child advocacy agencies, I said all the other because I understand that there were more than one. When the DPP or the police couldn't get their way with one of the agencies, they switched to another. And that alone is corruption, right? That alone has corrupted the whole quest for justice on behalf of this young lady. But coming out of one of those interviews, the young lady said that Nigel Dharamlal, she alleges that Nigel Dharamlal gave her Irfanali's number to text him and tell him that the allegations are untrue, so that, my words, he can give Nigel Dharamlal an easy time. I am saying many persons have not paid attention to that statement. Because assuming that statement is true, one has to conclude that Irfan Ali is once again a part of the problem of allowing the lawlessness to continue. Let me just call it that. Because this is a chap when the news broke said that I didn't know of this story, I only heard of it on social media. But there is a young lady saying that she has had, I can't call it direct contact, but she has had contact, telephone contact, via messaging with Irfan Ali or someone representing Irfan Ali. Because it's a phone number that Damlal gave her and said it was the president's number. And she should message him and tell him everything is okay. These allegations are untrue. Is Irfan Ali complicit in the rape of indigenous girls? Is he aware of these rapes taking place? These alleged rapes? How much information does he have in relation to these rapes? How long have these rapes been taking place? Because I've heard allegations again suggesting that Damlal was allegedly procuring underage Amerindian girls for other members of the PPP cabinet. And I said other members of the PPP cabinet because I can no longer restrict it to male members of the PPP cabinet. Because we recently learned that there are female members or member within the PPP cabinet who has wife or wives. They are members of the LGBTQ community. And so while Susan Rodriguez is out there as a known member of the LGBTQ community because she went to the US to marry another woman or another person, we don't know how many are closeted, and we don't know how many are partaking in the rape of minor or very young Amerindian children and girls, boys and girls, right? Because again, the evidence is out there showing that the male members of the PPP hierarchy who have an interest in males how much does Ali know about these miscreants? How much is he holding close to his chest? Why shouldn't Guyanese hold him accountable for the misbehavior of his cabinet members? I want to draw to your attention also something else. And that is a few days ago, Jack Dio said Damlal is a good man. Damlal is a good man. He does good work for the PPP. He does good work for the PPP. And he has the interest of the growth and development of Guyana. While in his release, Ali said Damlal has pledged to remain faithful to the PPP. My question is, having listened to those utterances, what assurances you have that Damlal is no longer a part of your government? He allegedly, apparently, has resigned as Minister of Local Government and Community Development. But who is to say that Damlal is not the head of some department out of the limelight of your eyes? Or worse yet, who is to say Damlal is not the hand behind the pen at the ministry which he previously was minister? You see, a lot of people tell themselves that the important thing here is minister, the title of minister. No, the title of minister really doesn't matter. What matters to the PPP and the likes of Damlal is that they still will be in the corridors of power. 1. 2, they still will be fattened calves off of the taxpayers' money because they still are going to get their super salaries. And if you look at the history of the PPP, you will recognize that when they caused Strip and Slap Berry to resign, he was made an advisor. Investigate how much he is paid as an advisor to incompetent Frank. Do your research and realize how many of the PPP bigwigs were moved from the public glare, maybe because of misbehavior or suspicions. But they're right there operating behind the scene as advisors. And they're receiving big pay. They're receiving payment equivalent to those of the ministerial positions they held, along with the perks. So you see, the PPP can pull wool over your eyes, or our eyes, with this resignation of Damlal. But the question is, where is he resurfacing? Or where has he resurfaced? I saw an image yesterday of the commissioning, I think, or turning for a secondary school in the interior region. And who was right there in that image? Or who appeared to have been in that image? As I'm no specialist, the specialist might tell me, Mr. Amsterdam, you're not seeing right. That is not Nigel Darmland. Well, I'm going to share a photograph with you. I'm hoping to find it. I'm hoping to find it. And so you can determine, you can help me to understand if I'm seeing things as we see. Or if it is that I was right when I thought I saw an image of Nigel Darmlal following the launching of the school. Thank you very much. You made my work easy. Person I speak about knows who I'm speaking about. I told y'all already. It is not I alone. Who brings information to you? Lots of other people do that, but they work behind the scene. Some of them are quick to the draw. Look at that image there. And for the observant among us, tell us if you see Dharamlal there. And you can also describe where he is. If you see him, so others can recognize that, yes, Dharamlal is in that image. It had to be a man who would describe the shirt as a blue-green shirt. Winston Parker. Winston Barker. I'm poking a little fun at you this morning, right? Not because I'm trying to embarrass you or anything, but because I still perhaps have my problem with colors. Is it true that men don't know colors? I constantly hear that, and I totally believe men really don't know colors. Right? MD John says he likes that lime green polo shirt. I was about to say that shirt is turquoise. Turquoise, is it? Is that what they call turquoise? Y'all talk to me. Right? Is that turquoise? Or is it blue-green or lime-green? Yes. So, yes, I am seeing an image looking like that of Nigel Dharamlal. To the left of my screen, it might be your screen, right? Behind the gentleman who is wearing a blue and white plaid. Now the question is, and I'm being fair, I'll tell you what. The question is, if that is the recent photograph, if that photograph was taken at this event, then the question is, what monkey business we going on with in this country? And why are citizens allowing this monkey business to take place? This post was made on the Ministry of Education website on Sunday at 3 minutes to 12. The headline is students in Karasabay and other surrounding communities in Region 9, Upper Takutu, Upper Essequibo, will soon benefit from a new school and dorm facilities being constructed at the cost of $1.7 billion. The contract for the construction of the school was signed in February 2023 and should be completed in 2 years' time. Here are some photos from the contract signing. Good. Right? I think I found the explanation that I was looking for. Here are some photos from the contract signing. The contract was signed in February. And we're now in what? July? Good. So it might be an old photo. But there's insensitivity in relation to the publication of this photograph. And so if Priya is responsible for its publication, she must be held accountable for being insensitive to the Guyanese people. Because media practitioners will tell you that a man like Daniel engaged in this controversy. No file photos should be used of him unless you're discussing the controversy. And so it is the nation has a problem with this man because he has been abusive, allegedly, sexually abusive to a young Amerindian child. But they're posting information about the Amerindian community and posting an image of this man. It shows how callous we are as a society. It shows we don't care about the feelings of others. Even those who say they're heading education departments and ministries have no education whatsoever when it comes to societal norms and mores. Because some people say mores. But why are these things allowed to happen? Because we the people, accept them. We the people accept them. And we're not prepared to do anything about them. Minding business. Right? So let's keep that in mind. Okay, as far as I know, the 15 minutes are up that I was giving you to call about yesterday's topic. Good? I have one voice note. Let me play it and then I'll move on to what I want to show you today.
Morning. I see on the picture that you put up there with Daramlal, I also see another alleged rapist is there too. Alfred King. I don't know if you could remember a couple years ago that there was a scandal with him he and his chores going to and the meaning where the young girls who misbehave and the young beautiful girls who is there for being discipline wise, they just go and choose who they need and get them out to go and have sex with them. Karaki, enjoy your.
Call your life.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning, everyone in Guyana. Good morning, everyone in the diaspora. On the questions of yesterday's topic, very interesting topic, and one of the main questions you asked, and I got quite a few things to talk about yesterday.
Coffee.
Because it's a very... Yes, sir.
You have quite a few things to talk about yesterday. But I gave a 50 minutes deadline to make that call. You're calling, let's say, in the last minute. So be conscientious, please. Thank you.
Yes. Well, I heard you were using up that time, so I didn't want to interrupt you. That's why I waited. Anyway,
but come back, but
you know,
I ain't buying it. Just
so,
go ahead.
Okay, I was being respectful. Now, can the USA's interest be Guyana's interest? And I think yes, and I think it's highly probable and very possible on several fronts. For example, Venezuela's overthrow of Maduro, when the Americans attempted to do that, that was going to be very advantageous. That was going to be America's interest as well as Guyana's interest. Okay? Second point. America came down to Guyana to pay out money for refugees. Okay? So that was a quid pro quo. Venezuela was asking Guyana, look, you take care of these refugees for me, and I'll do something for you guys. Okay? That's quid pro quo, something for something. To say that, yes, Guyana's interest has been America's interest in several examples. Okay? Another one. Most recently, America has had a policy on immigration for about 2 years now. And the person who has been championing that policy on immigration is none other than Brian Nichols, the United States Secretary of State, the Assistant Secretary of State for the United States, the African-American guy who came to Guyana. Okay? He is the guy that we need to be focusing on very heavily and not blinking so much, because this is the guy, chain of command, this is the guy who handles this region. He is the guy that Sarah Lynch got a report to. That African-American guy, because he is the person in charge. Now, he was also in charge on immigration and intervention in Haiti. So this guy is handling everything in the region. Okay, so we must not lose sight of this gentleman. Now, notice he came along on this visit, and part of his plan in Trinidad, well, part of America's plan was to ask the CARICOM leaders, have them all in one place and ask them to come on board to help America out, on a crisis. What is that crisis? America's got an immigration crisis. 1 million refugees at the border. Largely Haitians, largely Cubans, largely El Salvadorians, largely Venezuelans. All fires which America started. America needs help with that. So now she's coming to CARICOM to ask CARICOM to help her with Haiti. So that's an interest of America. The PPP wants to be in America's good graces. Now, the PPP wants to be in favor with the Democrats, Biden and Kamala Harris's administration. So the PPP are willing to do just about any dirty work for the American administration. And this is why you see, even though the PPP wanted to chase the people from Haiti, now they're willing to appear as though they want to help them. Because it's a quid pro quo. America is saying, do something for me, PPP, and we'll consider taking it light on you. Rickford Bork complained about it just the other day. Rickford Bork said it looks like we're being thrown under the truck by the Democratic Party. What the Democratic Party is currently doing is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. So we've got to kind of restructure. So to answer that question, there are interests. Okay, there are interests. The PPP is at the helm of the government. So when we talk about Guyana's interest, it's the PPP's interest that's being served at this point. The PPP wants something from the Biden-Kamala Harris administration. They want them to take it easy. They want that loan from the bank for the gas to shore pipeline, and they want a lot of other things. So that's the relationship of common interest. Now, before I conclude, Mr. Kadaki, a very important point you raised last week, the point that was suggested by Anthony Blinken to opposition leader Comrade Norton. The suggestion was seeming like sort of a policy suggestion, that the opposition party should employ the concept of constructive opposition. Now, I don't know if I missed your show, but we may need to discuss what is constructive opposition. Persons can Google it and see what that's talking about. Constructive opposition basically says this: let's work together. We don't always have to agree with each other, but let's make Guyana the thing of interest. Let it not be party interest so much, but let it be a national interest. How can Guyana benefit? But in order for that to work, there has to be a give and take. There has to be a reciprocation. It's like a seesaw. One side of the seesaw has to go up so the other side could come down, and vice versa. So, here's the logic. Antony Blinken, Secretary of State of the United States, suggested to Comrade Norton that the opposition should employ as a strategy constructive opposition. So if he's going to tell Comrade Norton that, then logical deduction tells us that he would have had to instructed Irfan Ali on the very same thing. Notice now, you can't tell one side to employ a strategy and you don't ask the other side to reciprocate the strategy. Okay? So that is something that I have deduced from that. I haven't heard either the PPP or the opposition speak to the subject of constructive opposition. But I take it that the Secretary of State wants us to figure that out. Okay, at this point, there could be more coming. But we have to begin to look out for Comrade Norton reaching across the aisle. Did you say something, Mr. Kadaki?
No, I'm listening to you.
We have to be on the alert, vigilant, for Comrade Norton reaching across the aisle on this policy expectation, as well as Irfan Ali. Now, I did notice Irfan Ali up at the Bosai agreement, opening of Bosai in Linden, making unusual overtures to the Linden MP. He asked for the Linden MP by name. I can't remember what's his name, the Rasta guy, the brother, who is head of the PAC committee in Parliament. He asked for him. He says, where's the Linden MP? Is he here? We need to have some dialogue. So that seems to be, I'm wondering if this is as a result of what Antony Blinken requested of the PPP. Later on at the ribbon cutting of the opening of that bauxite mill, Irfan Ali asked, where was Adams, the NDC chairman, and he asked for Adams to come and help and cut the ribbon. So these are overtures that I'm seeing very unusual.
Coffee.
Maybe I am reading too much into this, but this seems to be very uncharacteristic. But it seems to be in sync with constructive opposition. Keep in mind, we can Google what constructive opposition means. Another point.
Coffee?
This is important. Please, allow me this point, please. Last point. We need to ask the Assistant Secretary of State to give us some sense of direction as what are the expectancies of constructive opposition. What are the talking points for constructive opposition in the context that it was proposed to Comrade Norton? Being that Antony Blinken put that out to the public, we have a right to ask him, can he define and outline a trajectory, an expectation for constructive opposition in Guyana? Once again, that's very important, and the guide to link up on that is Brian Nichols. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain all of this.
Thank you. Thank you for calling. You know, let me address quickly the overtures, according to Coffee, that was made by Ali at the opening of that bauxite plant. It was just, in my mind, an effort to pull wool over your eyes. Because, take note, that Ali knew very well that instructions came from his political party to disrespect the chairman of the Region 10 RDC, in fact the municipal government, and opposition parliamentarians who were invited to attend that opening ceremony and that commissioning of the bauxite plant. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but Darren Adams, I think, who is the chairman or mayor. No, what's his name is mayor? Sharma Solomon, right? I think I get these positions right. But Darren Adams, I think, is the name of the guy who did a live and reported that they were invited to the commissioning, and they were also told that they will be expected to give remarks at the commissioning. Received a call late the night prior to the event to be reminded. But lo and behold, when they turned up, they were told that the program has changed and they will no longer be allowed to give comments. So Ali was only trying to make people what he is. And you all know what I think he is. So yes, Kofi, I think you read too much into that. You see, a lot of people say do as I say but not as I do. And that's the thing with the PPP. They perform in front of the cameras. They perform like in Hollywood. But behind the scenes, they return to their nastiness. And let us not fall prey to that. I want you to listen to this video. And then I'll reopen the lines, and so we can continue to talk about the PPP and Hindu domination in Guyana.
In September 2022, the English city of Leicester erupted in violence.
City and community leaders admit they're baffled by the precise cause of the sudden violence.
What's thought to have started as a confrontation between rival fans after a cricket match between India and Pakistan escalated into clashes between the city's Hindu and Muslim communities, leaving dozens injured and at least 47 people arrested.
He's inciting violence and you're allowing it.
How was he supposed to arrest 400 people?
To all the so-called Hindutva wannabe gangsters, don't ever come out like that again.
In the aftermath of the unrest, something unusual happened. A prominent journalist aligned with India's ruling political party did an in-depth interview with the British far-right activist Tommy Robinson.
The problems that come from the Islamic community are so vast, are growing so quick, are so dangerous for the country that it has to be addressed.
Just weeks earlier, an Indian-American community parade in New Jersey was marred by allegations of Islamophobia.
As someone that is Muslim, I find this terrorizing, and so does the Muslim community across New Jersey, across the country and around the world.
Don't touch me! Don't touch me! Don't touch me! Get away from me!
But what connects these events in the US and Europe to a radical nationalist movement on the other side of the world? This is how far-right Hindu nationalism is fueling violence and sparking fears for the future of Indian democracy, and is now spreading its influence across the world and winning admirers among Western extremists. Last August, the small city of Edison, New Jersey, hosted a parade organized by an Indian-American business association. But what seemed like an innocent community celebration quickly became mired in accusations of Islamophobia, all because of this bulldozer. The chant you can hear in the background there is Jai Shri Ram, which roughly translates to victory to Lord Rama, and has become a battle cry for a new wave of radical Hindu nationalists. The chant was also heard prominently in the UK and in countless acts of violence across India itself. What the average resident of Edison may not have realized is that in India, the bulldozers become a coded symbol for government campaigns to demolish Muslim villages and communities.
आरो की कोसे 3 दिन मध्ये भांगे ना नेले एन वस्तु अनि सब हमरा भांगे सिर दिबो एन गरे पूरा हुमकी दामकी दे आरो भय दे अंगरे पुलिस आर्मी आइसे.
In the last year, the Hindu nationalist government in Assam state has targeted more than a dozen Muslim villages for eviction.
The bulldozer in New Jersey was decorated with posters of Narendra Modi, India's populist prime minister, whose party, the BJP, advocates a hardline form of Hindu nationalism known as Hindutva that's been accused of inciting deadly violence in India, as well as inflaming the tensions in Leicester and elsewhere.
The parade with bulldozers in New Jersey was shocking.
The language, the rhetoric tells us that there is a growing support for Hindutva ideology within the US.
Hindutva, meaning Hinduness, is distinct from Hinduism, India's majority religion. It's a far-right ideology which holds that India should be an exclusively Hindu state, with other minorities tolerated at best.
हिंदू अलग संस्कृति है, मुस्लिम अलग संस्कृति है, दोनों एक साथ नहीं रह सकती, दो संस्कृतियां कभी एक साथ नहीं रह सकती हैं.
Many of its leaders explicitly advocate violence as the way to achieve this nationalist vision, specifically targeting India's Muslim minority.
हमारी बहनों को पथभ्रष्ट करते हैं और उनको हमारे समाज से अलग करते हैं, तो ऐसे दरिंदों का हम लोग जो है सर फोड़ने का काम करेंगे.
Officially a secular state, India's population is about 80% Hindu, with a Muslim minority of about 14%. This minority has become the prime target for Hindu nationalists who push a conspiracy theory that Muslims are waging a kind of demographic war to eventually gain dominance. Hindutva is spread by a sprawling network of political parties, paramilitary groups and street-level vigilante gangs, which have been linked to lynchings, sexual assault and extreme acts of violence. The most prominent of these groups is probably the RSS.
Do you think that India is a Hindu nation?
Yes. All over the world is suffering from the Muslim attacks, jihadi. We did not approach any community. We did not approach. But they will follow our rules.
If large groups of armed men marching in uniform and preaching about ethnic purity conjure images of the worst of mid-20th century fascism, that's no accident. The RSS, formed in 1925, and its early leaders explicitly modeled themselves on Hitler and Mussolini, arguing that India should deal with its Muslims the way Nazi Germany did with its Jews.
Hindutva draw from Nazi imagery. So they have that Nazi Hitler image of the family, and in the background you see the swastika, which is also a Hindu symbol of peace that has been mobilized within this discourse. Many people have argued that the RSS is modeled on the SS. The Nazis and the RSS became reviled for a while, but we see a revivalism of that ideology here. Many folks, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, within the current Hindu right-wing movement, come out of that RSS paramilitary training.
Narendra Modi's party, the BJP, is the political wing of the RSS and has dominated India's parliament since he was elected Prime Minister in 2014.
Modi is considered a nationalist. He campaigned as a hardliner on foreign policy and by invoking threats to people's safety.
This has coincided with a massive surge in anti-Muslim violence, and this violence often revolves around cows.
I'm about to meet up with a group of self-fashioned cow protectors.
हिंदू धर्म में गाय को माता का दर्जा दिया गया है। वो मुस्लिम धर्म के लोग हैं जो हमारी आस्था को छेड़ते हैं और हमारी आस्था को छेड़ने वाले के साथ हम लोग बर्दाश्त नहीं करते, इसीलिए उन्हें पकड़ते हैं हम लोग।
The cow is a sacred animal to Hindus, and so-called cow vigilante groups have often carried out attacks, including murder, on Muslims, often based on mere rumors that they may have eaten beef.
When you see someone slaughtering a cow, what do you feel?
अगर आपने ही ये काम कर दिया तो दिल ये करता है कि आपके हाथ काट दूं।
जय गौ माता!
जय गौ माता!
In February 2020, India was rocked by its worst communal bloodshed in decades, as riots exploded across the capital, New Delhi.
Often bloody, sometimes fatal, in riots against India's new Citizenship Amendment Act. Legislation, critics say, that discriminates against Muslims.
Horrifying reports emerged of targeted lynchings, with men, women and children being beaten to death, even burned alive. In all, at least 53 people were killed, the majority Muslim. Accusations flew that the government and police had done too little to prevent the violence and may have actively encouraged it amid an ongoing pattern of Hindutva-fueled violence and discrimination against India's Muslim population.
Under the current BJP-led government, there have been numerous extrajudicial killings and torture cases across India. In Uttar Pradesh alone, 5,302 mass violence incidents were reported just in 2021.
But rather than trying to deny their prejudice, many high-profile BJP politicians have been crystal clear in expressing their outright animosity towards Muslims.
We are very keen that this country should remain overwhelmingly Hindu majority country.
This radical brand of nationalism, with its unapologetic Islamophobia, has found an unlikely fan base among the Western far right, which isn't generally known for its embrace of South Asian people. In 2019, a delegation of politicians from European far-right parties, including France's National Rally and Germany's AfD, made an official visit to Kashmir, a major flashpoint in Hindu-Muslim relations. The visit, which sparked protests in Kashmir, was seen as an important show of solidarity between populist anti-Islam movements in Europe and India.
22 out of 27 MPs are affiliated to far-right parties.
Modi's brand of nationalism has also been hailed as a blueprint for the wave of right-wing populist leaders around the world that have followed in his wake, with former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon reportedly describing him as a Trump before Trump.
Prime Minister Modi is doing a truly exceptional job for India and for all of the Indian people.
Critics of the BJP can face violent attacks and harassment from both the Indian state and online Hindutva activists, both in India and abroad.
We see this kind of threat actually all the time. The worst one was a man or woman who said, if this conference goes forward, I will become Osama bin Laden and I will bomb everyone. India's democracy is under threat. I would argue that Hindutva is a global threat. We are looking at a movement that is seeking to find inroads by leveraging these kinds of connections within the West as well.
What happens in India matters. The country is predicted to soon overtake China as the world's most populous nation and become the world's third largest economy. India's success has been built on an explicitly secular constitution intended to protect the rule of law and guarantee the rights of all its diverse citizens, regardless of religion. If that equality comes under attack from street thugs and the politicians who encourage them, then India may well lose its claim to be the world's largest democracy, and unthinkable violence could follow.
There you have it. You've heard it for yourself. Simple questions I have for you. Do you recognize the similarities in Guyana? Do you recognize the similarities in Ghana? Extrajudicial killing, bulldozing people's home, torture, name it. It's all right there, right? There's so many issues we can discuss out of that video. I want you also to pay attention to the fact that, according to that video, India is projected to be the third largest economy in the world. And so the question of BRICS come back. The question of BRICS. Somebody said yesterday BRICS is going nowhere, but remember BRICS is made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Brazil, Russia, India definitely are powerful economies. Also, they have extremely large armies. So why do we feel that BRICS is going nowhere? Right? But that's an aside to yesterday's discourse coming out in this video. But look at the similarities of what the Hindus are doing in India and to some extent around other parts of the world, and what is happening here in Ghana. Well, in 2014, Ravi Dev was at the Hindu Congress encouraging Hindus, as they say in this video, and Ravi did say, I am sure I heard it, Indutya, or whatever the pronunciation. Apparently a radical aspect of Hinduism to come and take root in Ghana. Take note of that. One other thing I want to talk about in relation to that same 2014 video on Ravi Dev in conjunction with this year. And it dawned on me after somebody asked, but Mr. Amsterdam, this video was since 2014. In 2014, 2014 was the year before the coalition won the elections in 2015. It is my firm belief that coalition leaders, at least some of them, were aware of the existence of this video and this ideology. And so this information should have informed the major decision-making processes in the coalition. The knowledge of this video and what it was proposing, what it was propagating, the philosophy that you recognize coming out of this discourse. Should have really informed how the coalition managed this society, managed this country, and dealt with resource and resource distribution and ownership in this country. But old people say both Ghana falls, you can't turn back. These are lessons for our leaders, especially African Guyanese leaders and minority leaders in this country. I hope going forward, we're going to use all of these things as reference points when we are given an opportunity to make decisions to this nation. Caller Live, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Yes, first time caller. Here's the situation, Mr. Kadaki. It's a trifecta. The goal of Indian domination was Trinidad, Suriname, and Guyana. As far they failed in Trinidad, But so far they have Guyana and they have Suriname. I think Guyanese as a whole, especially local Guyanese, need to wake the hell up. To me, it appears as if most of the people in Guyana are sleeping. They're unaware of Indian domination. Jack Dale is playing chess while the average Guyanese is playing checkers. Here it is that important events, important things that are happening in Guyana, these people are not present. I salute women, the Guyanese women, especially Simona Brooms and the other women that are out there protesting. If Jack Dale brings in a Jamaican artist, you would find thousands of these people that are supposed to be on the protest lines, you would find them in the stadium, gyrating, partying. It's as though we're not a conscious type of people. And these people are eating our meals every single day because we don't understand what is happening. Just let me piggyback. Just let me digress a little bit because I wanted to make a contribution as far as BRICS is concerned. BRICS. By the year 2030, BRICS countries would be responsible for almost 50% of global GDP. BRICS is not a flyby type of organization. It's a serious threat to the G7 and G8. Hence, the situation that's happening in the world right now. India, you said something about India being like the third most powerful country as far as GDP. India is not. India is the most populous country right now in the world. About a month ago, she surpassed China. I think she's 1.46 billion people. But India's GDP is behind that of Japan, that of Germany, and if I'm correct, I think even England. India, as far as geopolitical or geopolitics is concerned, is being used as a buffer against China. And she's going to lose because India lost twice in the past against China. Because in order for your country to be powerful, you need three components. You need a strong economy, you need a stable political system, and you need a strong military. India does not compare to China. But Americans, we just had Modi here in the country about 2 weeks ago. He spoke, in our Congress and everything, because India is being used as a buffer to China. Just like America is using Ukraine against Russia, and America is going to use South Korea against North Korea, and Taiwan against China, they all are going to lose in the end. Because as you're seeing what's happening right now as far as the special military operation between Russia and Ukraine, we've depleted all of our weapons. The EU nations, most of them are in recession. NATO is practically dead. They ran out of munitions. They ran out of armament. Russia is bleeding them out in Ukraine. They tried to topple Russia, but they failed. That's why right now today we're resorting to cluster bombs, which more than 120 countries in the world have outlawed. But that's the level that United States of America is reaching to because we pretty much depleted all of our resources in Ukraine in a failed adventure to topple the Putin and the Russian regime. And Russia is more powerful than anything else because what happened when we put 1,000 sanctions on Russia, China and India stepped up to the plate and they're buying Russian oil left and right. Russia's not weak. Russia's economy is not suffering with all the sanctions in the world. Who's suffering in the world? The United States of America and our friends in NATO. In the next 10 years, like a caller was talking about, watch for the next 10 years or whatever. Sometimes I listen to Guyanese talk and I realize a lot of times Guyanese don't understand what the hell is happening, or they don't understand international relationship. And I don't want to be disrespectful, but it's a type of situation where I think I've even heard you say that the meeting between Mr. Norton and Mr. Blinken, the PPP were not aware of. That's BS. Blinken was on a whistle stop, a 4-hour turnaround. Everything is itinerary, is planned. Who plans his itinerary? The local U.S. ambassador, Sarah Lynch. Okay, and Sarah Lynch is an emissary or a close confidant of the Barrett Jackdaw administration. So to say that the PPP were not aware of the meeting between Norton and Mr. Blinken, I think you'd be doing a disservice not only to yourself, but to the listeners in Guyana. That's BS. That doesn't happen like that there. But my grief is with Mr. Norton. What he should have done as an opposition leader, he hasn't projected strength or power to me thus far. As an opposition leader, what you're supposed to do, Blinken is visiting. He's the guest of your country. You don't come to Blinken. Blinken comes to you. That's how you assert power in this world. Because pretty much they could have told North to jump in a taxi and come and reach him at the U.S. Embassy. But who was there present at the meeting? Sarah Lynch. And like another caller said, Norton should have came before the public and held a news conference after the briefing and explained to his people what transpired in that meeting. This guy, like I said, he's a very poor opposition leader, and Jackdaw and them they operate like a bulldozer, and he's being bulldozed because he doesn't understand the aesthetics, the ergonomics about being a political leader. He doesn't understand power. He doesn't understand how to project power. Say what you want to say about Jackdaw. I don't like that guy, but he understands power. I was told that Norton is from Linden, but he resides in Pleasance. How the hell are you going to have the government come into your stronghold and do what he did 2 weeks ago to your people in Pleasance? That just shows you again, Norton is a very weak leader. He doesn't have the prominence. He doesn't have the power, because the first thing about power, or the first thing about any government or any leader, is the protection of its citizens and the protection of your people. You cannot have an outsider. That's just like you allowing another man to come into your house and touch your wife. You're not supposed to allow that. And Norton, being the leader, the opposition leader, he allowed that to happen. Or he doesn't have any say, he doesn't have any control, he doesn't have any sway. And why people put confidence in a man? To me, I warn people, why the hell is Norton taking his people to this local government elections? You already know the voters list is flawed. So why the hell are you subjecting your people to a flawed voters list? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Sometimes I wonder if these people are thinking. Do not take your people in an election where you know the voters list is flawed. Come on, Guyanese. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to imagine that. What type of leader would lead his people into something like that there? I have more to say, Mr. Kadaki, but you know what? I'll leave the lines open for some other contributor. Thanks a lot for your time.
Call it live, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning to everybody who is listening. And Kadaki, I'm taking this opportunity to wish you a happy birthday in case I don't remember tomorrow. Because I know when we meet at a certain age, we just forget things. So happy
I don't know,
birthday.
girl. I don't know nothing about
Tomorrow is
forgetting
your
nothing.
What is that?
I said I don't know anything about forgetting nothing. Or forgetting anything.
No, I don't.
By certain age. I don't forget a thing.
No,
Well,
but see, you meet me age yet. Anyhow, I was listening to, looking at the program in and out, because right now I'm reading up back my yard. But I noticed a picture with the embattled minister.
Well, no, we discussed that just now.
People.
Well,
Now, if,
we discussed that.
Now, if these people knows of the thing that is hanging over this individual head, why are they so much involved with this person? Now let me tell you, if a set of rats there here and the sea cat come, you know what they does do? They just disappear. They don't stay around of the cat because they know that cat does destroy them. So they just stay away. For me, when these people know of what has hung over their head, and if they say they want to disallow the rape, they know about the dorms that was being burned to the ground, where they lose 19 lives, and there was no sort of empathy from the installed regime to them. Why are these same people clamoring and paying homage to the same people who helped to destroy them? Look, the two shows who came out for the meeting last year or early this year. Look how they were being treated. And these people still keep running to the PPP. It is very bad. Now, you see how all of them run? How many of them would come out on the protest? Only but the minister and the general secretary and must about 2 to 3 other indigenous people sees it fit to go on the protest. We are not talking race and color of skin. What Flash said is right, because when the African girl was being raped, nobody didn't really stand up for her, right? So what they say, then the next thing, with what this person, I can't remember who spoke about it, with the installed regime claiming that they want this little inclusiveness after the state visit Thursday. It is a total farce, because I like how you brought up the incident with both sides and the treatment of the APNU faction of the mayoral township of Linden. It is so true. They're only trying to say they want inclusion, but the PPP does not want inclusion. This thing that Barrett come up and we want when election that they must collate, that can't work. Because collating with the PPP, there will be so many charandasses that the country wouldn't know what is hitting them, because they will be full blast. And the PPP's sole aim is to destroy this country and bring it down to straw, that nobody wouldn't want to even hear the name of Guyana, that was being built by our slave masters like Kofi Annan and the rest. And then Burnham, LFS, Linden, Forbes, Sampson, Burnham came in and fine-tuned it. And with the help of other African people, bring Guyana to what it was 20 odd years going into 30 years back. At the time when the PPP took over Guyana, Guyana was on the cusp of a progressive nation. But since they took it over, look what we have become. So I don't see it wise for the opposition to ever collate with the PPP. That is a coalition that is doomed in disaster. Happy birthday again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, caller. That's an interesting thing to address. Perhaps, let me say the previous caller said a lot. I don't necessarily agree with all that was said, but y'all know my position. I usually don't spend a lot of time trying to convince people of what they want to see or what they want to believe. My information tells me that the PPP did not know that Blinken was going to meet with Aubrey Norton. The special branch did not know that Blinken was going to meet with Aubrey Norton. And I dare say that even if Sarah Lynch knew that Blinken was going to meet with Aubrey Norton, she would not have taken the risk against the wishes of the U.S. government to inform the PPP that Blinken was going to meet with Aubrey Norton. Because, I'm using the word loosely, that might have been considered treasonous. Y'all be the judge. The other thing is, call all the line. The caller says, and sometimes I reflect on what some people say sometimes. Guyanese behave as though, or they don't have a clue. Guyanese don't have a clue. And we get the impression sometimes that all of the answers to Guyana's problems are in the diaspora. I don't intend to insult anyone, but I am saying it would be very helpful if all of the specialists that we have in the diaspora, more Guyanese live outside of Guyana than in Guyana. If a fraction of those people who live outside were to only come and sit with the locals and work the strategies, maybe we'll see the back of the PPP quickly. And we'll have better governance quicker. Just an encouragement. Call it live, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you and all my black brothers and sisters over there. First of all, I have to ask you, can you hear me?
Loudly.
Okay, this is Flash Garden again. The caller before my sister on the lane, let me correct that. Mr. Norton is not a weak leader. Mr. Norton take over the party with broken glasses. And now he have to build a good glass around him. Let me move on. I is a person that said that Mr. Norton is supposed to keep a press conference and let the voters know, let black people know what was said. Not 100%, but at least what I wanted him to say, that we spoke about a new voter list. And the same, I can't remember the right word now, what our big brother Vincent Alexander put on GCOM table, that we must have that for fair and credible election and a a free election. Then we will know if we see any change after he met with Blinken. That is how we will know that the opposition,
Flash Gordon,
the American government.
Flash, you know I like reasoning with you sometimes. And like I said, we're changing up things towards this anniversary. It is my belief, but I'm asking you, do you think it would serve any good for Aubrey to come out and say, well, I sat with Blinken and we discussed X, Y, and Z? And I'm asking a question from the point of view of this. When Blinken starts to relate to the PPP on these matters that Aubrey announced, he had a discussion with Blinken on, then the PPP will say Blinken is executing Norton's agenda. So Blinken has become a tool of Norton. And so perhaps they will not engage with Blinken, whether possible or not. But I'm just throwing that out there loosely. Do you believe that it would have benefited the cause if Aubrey had come out and said, I discussed this, that, and the other with Blinken, knowing very well that Blinken at some point in time might have to raise it with the PPP? Go ahead.
As a person who knows politics and politics, yes, I will say yes. Because you know why? How can we know the meeting was successful? How can we know that the American government is on the opposition side like how they was on the other side in 2020?
Let's reason again. I'm going to interrupt you a lot perhaps. How do you know that the mango tree that you planted is a good one?
It's when you see fruits.
Very well, continue. Go ahead, sir. I didn't have to announce to anybody that I planted a mango tree, but I know it's good because it started bearing. Go ahead.
Anyway, let me move on because I don't want to keep want to interrupt me.
Okay, I won't.
my next what I wanted to say, you started. I am asking all Guyanese now that if you want to help your fellow Guyanese in Guyana to help us get out of poverty under the Indian government, those who have green cards, those who are not citizens, is to join the bandwagon and promote to vote. You could vote as long as you get green card. You could begin to save and put something aside for your passage. Flash Garden did it. It take a long time for me to take my citizen. It's when a friend tell me in America, man, you wait so long and you still have that book? I said, yes. The reason why, because I want to help my fellow Guyanese over there. And that's why you should promote and vote. It is time for you to stop talking and put your money where your mouth at. I'm talking to those who live out of Guyana. You could do it because Flash Garden do it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for your call. You know, I certainly understand the desire of people to be in the know. Right? And this is a problem we have among our people. Everybody wants to be in the know, and everybody wants to be able to say, I know. And because we want to be in the know and we want to be able to say, I know, we give away a lot of our trade secrets. We give away a lot of secrets. Just because we like to say, I know, and we like to show that we know, we have taught our competitors a whole lot of things that we previously used as an advantage for ourselves. Understand that? Okay? Good. Call it live. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kodaki. One little question I would like to know. The WPA, that is a party was born in Buxton. Hello?
Yes, caller. Are you asking if the WPA was born in Buxton?
Yes.
No, I won't say the WPA was born in Buxton. The WPA has had a lot of Buxtonians, operatives and leaders, influences. Most importantly, Usiquano. But it wasn't a party born in Buxton. The WPA was born.
Something now. Walter Rodney, he's from Buxton?
No, Walter Rodney is not Buxtonian. I think the man might be from South or something.
There was one of the founder of the WPA, that's correct?
Yes, Walter Rodney is a founder. Well, you know, these are technical. Yes, he is a founder of WP. And I said it's technical because here what WPA came out of IPRA and Ratoon and Askria, right? IPRA is Moses Bhagwan, I think, was from IPRA. It's the Indian relations with independent India something. Askria is African Cultural Organization for Relations with Independent Africa. Ratoon, I think, was pressure group, let me call it that loosely, at the University of Guyana. So it's a combination of cultural and socio-economic organizations that came together and formed the WP.
Okay, so the picture frame have the picture of Walter Rodney, because anybody understand the WPA, the picture they would see is Walter Rodney, right? A question is now, within the NDC, right, why there is no councillor from the WPA?
For you to be a councillor at the NDC, you have to contest the election. The WPA did not contest the elections. The WPA has held the position that we are not going to partake. We are not going to partake in an election that we know is already rigged and is basically.
No, me talking from this last election. I'm talking from many years back. The WPA never really had a councillor in Buxton.
That's
correct.
I can't go as far back as I might have to go, but I perhaps will hazard a guess and say no. I don't remember WP having a councillor in Buxton.
Okay.
But here, let me make this little differentiation. There have been many councillors and even chairmen at the Buxton Falls NDC that have allegiance to the WPA, but they would have contested on the PNC slate also. Continue.
Well, there is the problem with the WPA that it pulling itself back, because the WPA was created for press against the PPP and the PNC when they was doing the wrong. And this new WPA that they have, they only pushing the PNC agenda and pulling themselves back. I think if they only up themselves and carry their agenda, they would meet somewhere, because the PNC is all with the PPP and everything they're doing is against the black and the pressure in the black down, big man. And this way the WPA got to understand. They was created for press against the PNC for doing the wrong what they was doing to the blacks. Today, the WPA pressing the agenda, pushing the agenda for the PNC, and this way they pulling themselves.
Caller, and I'm engaging you on this because I know this kind of engagement educates not only you but everybody else. It even helps me to focus on some issues.
Okay.
Politics is dynamic, it changes. They say the only thing constant is change. Right? The WPA pressed against the PNC, like you said, in the 70s, 80s, because the PNC was seen as doing a disservice to Guyana and Guyanese. And the Indo-Guyanese were seen as being oppressed by the PNC. That's the argument. Okay?
No.
Caller, let me finish. Caller, let me finish. Caller, let me finish now, man.
All right, good. Sorry. Yeah,
you have to understand context.
All right, bless.
So from the 70s and 80s, the WPA was involved in that struggle against the PNC because the PNC behaved a little less worse than the PNC, than the PPP is behaving right now. So the PNC was seen as perhaps dictatorial, autocratic. The Indo-Guyanese were seen as being oppressed. The WPA fought on the side of good governance and the oppressed. That situation has changed in that when the coin has flipped, it is now the PPP and the Indo-Guyanese who are seen as the oppressors, who are seen as the dictators, who are seen as being autocratic, who are seen as oppressing the Afro-Guyanese. And so the Afro-Guyanese become the oppressors, the oppressed. And so the WP again is fighting against bad governance, it's fighting against dictatorship, it is fighting for the oppressed. It joined with the PPP to fight when the Indo-Guyanese were being oppressed. Now it is joining with the PNC, because the PNC is seen as the major political force representing African Guyanese, like the PPP was seen as a major political force representing Indo-Guyanese in that era. And so the WPA is working along with the PNC, I can argue, to fight against this oppression and the dictatorial behavior of the PPP and its predominantly Indo-Guyanese leadership. Now, holding back ourselves, yes, it might be true, but sometimes in the interest of the national good. And that I wish a lot of politicians would recognize, and a lot of political parties. In the interest of the national good, sometimes you have to step back, forget individualism, and work for the wider good of the society. If more politicians and political parties can recognize and behave in that way, I think we'll have better governance faster. It is that position which the WPA took that gave us APNU and helped the PNC to win back a large number of seats in the 2011 election, and then encouraged the AFC to come on board in 2015, and eventually was able to put the PPP out of government. Unfortunately, in 2020, the US and their friends forced the APNU AFC out of government. I hope you understand the explanation. I hope it's not too convoluted.
Yes, but still again, wherever you share, you see, it belongs to one thing, right? The PPP don't give a damn about the poor man, right? When Walter Rodney built the WPA, when he put his face as the leader for the WPA, it's a fight for the poor people, right? The PNC is a part of the PPP, right? Because you have our opposition leader stand up and watching all of these evil things that going on, and he just stay back and will not say a word. He's not fighting for the people. It's like anything that happen to the country is like he getting his paycheck and he for them. The WPA, if they take a step, because the people are calling for a tour force. But if you, as a WPA, pushing the PNC agenda, it seems like you're a part of the PNC, and people would never look in your direction because they're looking for turn from the PPP and the PNC, because they need a tour force. And it's a shame for no, the WPA is a foundation party, and they make the AFC come from nowhere and make strive ahead of them. You see? It shows you the way that the WPA is catered about is that they can't handle the business of their own. They need somebody for able to push them up. And the problem with the person when they're looking for push them up is the don't want nothing to do with the WPA. In fact, truly, because once they get in power, they will kick the WPA once. You go once, we don't need you. You see? I understand what you said. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, caller. I dare say that to think that the WPA really and truly is leaning on the PNC in this instance for, as he said, to push us up. I dare argue otherwise. The WPA is out there doing, quite frankly, in my mind, exceedingly more than the PNC right now. Those of you who view this program, those of you who follow the leadership, those of you who follow what Dr. Hines and myself, what we do, we recognize that...
Hello, good morning.
Call all the line, please.
Good morning.
We recognize that the steam in the opposition for the greater part comes from people from the WPA. As they say, we small, but we tall. So this caller, I don't know, sometimes he just got to take off his blinders. Caller live, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Brother Kidaki, and good morning to the rest of Guyana. Bright sunshine across Guyana, lovely place. So I would like to make my contribution to the program this morning. I have to say at the outset that I have a problem with political dunceness. Over time, I think that something is wrong with Guyanese people. You know, you just don't get it. I mean, you have a Secretary of State of the United States of America visiting there, ask the president, leader of the opposition of Guyana, and they're in a private meeting together, and the people of Guyana is calling for him to disclose. Don't these callers who wish to know what's been or what was said, don't you people know diplomacy, foreign policy? I mean, it's amazing to see the level of intellect that Guyana possesses. It's like, you know, I'm asking myself, where have we gone to? You don't disclose anything of such. When you have a high-level meeting like that, you do not disclose anything like that. Okay, let's say, all right, it was discussed in the meeting that some measures will be taken to deal with the people. You think we can come and disclose that to the public? Come on, people, stop being dunce. It's only one man I know Guyana has. You know what I mean? Parading himself. You know, it's so amazing. Anyhow, Kidaki, moving on. I think what we have to have in Guyana is unity in the opposition. Every morning I can listen to this program and I hear people bashing Aubrey this, Aubrey that. What are you people doing? All these scholars. Yeah, for instance, Kidaki, I would ask you, have you ever seen these people that call into your program outside a GCOM? Or have they ever joined Simona Brooms and the other sister protesting and calling for the rights of Guyanese citizens? Have you ever seen them? All these people who is calling from overseas. I know for a fact some may not able be here because of work and work in the United States is different than working there. And you cannot leave. Sometimes you got to work 2 years to get a 2 weeks leave. And I could understand that. But there are Guyanese that is calling into your program that can make it and never join Brother Kedaki at GCOM to protests. Never join Simona Brooms and calling for justice for that young lady. And all you can hear is criticism all the while. Get your backside out there and do something. That's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Talking don't move nothing. Action does. Action does. And so I'm calling for unity amongst the opposition. Wherever there is any semblance of division, we ought to unite. I just make a trip to Dartmouth the other day, and what I saw is amazing. You know, there's transformation in Essequibo, yes, but the government is discriminating in certain black community, like Queenstown, the Essequibo Coast, and Dartmouth. I look carefully. So the only way that we can move forward and be victorious is uniting. Okay, we was chosen to be the leader, and until such time that a Congress is called and a new leader is elected, shut up, throw your mouth, your mouth, your level one side, and throw your support behind the man. Stop it. Stop, please. Y'all stop it. It doesn't got good for us. Just stop it instantly. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your call.
You're welcome.
It's now 3 minutes past 9 o'clock hour. I won't be taking any other call. I see 2 or 3 voice notes. I will want to play them. It's the day before.
Guyanese don't understand. The meeting was behind closed doors. If the one Guyanese know what was the meeting, they would have publish it. It would have up on everything streaming. But some of we backward. The meeting being behind closed doors. That means them now one Guyanese know what them a say. Get it straight to your head.
I don't know why we have to bash each other. Quite frankly,
Hi Kadaki, good morning to you and the listeners. Well, there's a lot of people speaking this morning about if Norton should have disclosed what was said to him by Mr. Blinkett. I can go down the middle. I gonna said the PPP then wouldn't disclose what was said between them and him, and Norton shouldn't disclose what was said between he and them, he and Blinkett either. But what it would do from press relief, I think what it should do, or we could do, is say something to the nation, even if he had to put it in a spin. And he didn't have to talk all what was said, but say something to the nation to make them feel comfortable. Because do what PPP gonna do, as I said before, PPP gonna come and spin and said things that what Blinken didn't said, and said things just to make the Guyanese people feel, oh yes, this man was good to them. And as I said, down the middle, I would go down the middle. Put a spin, say something to the nation. You don't have to say everything. Say something to make it people feel, yes, we're feeling comfortable with this man. That's it. That's my take this morning. Thank you.